Hey Revolut, I see y'all with the pretty packaging and stuff. That's cute. I love it. I love it. I'm doing this video to talk about a money matter, and I'm going to add it to an upcoming video. So, I lost my Revolut card, I want to say last Monday. So it's been just over a week because today is Tuesday, and I didn't order a new card probably until Wednesday of that week because I was trying to make sure some things that between the 19th and the 21st. Today is the 15th and I got it. Not only did I get it, the security guard, I guess, remember my face and knows where I live, because you know it's probably not a lot of people that look like me here. And so I'm sitting out here in the pool area with my card. So thank goodness I have my Revolut card. It took less than a week to get the Revolut card, and I'm so excited because I feel like I have financial freedom now. All right, y'all. Okay. Hey y'all, Destinations Danny Gen X here with my friend Carla that I met while I was here in Chiang Mai, and this video is about money matters. So I want to start with asking Gen X here with my friend Carla that I met while I was here in Chiang Mai, and this video is about money matters. So I want to start with asking Carla, what have you learned while in the process of moving from the U.S. to travel the world, either before you left or during the process?
Oh my goodness, what haven't I learned? I'm traveling right now. I haven't technically moved yet, but when I first started taking long trips, I was going to Senegal in West Africa, and one of the things that really stood out to me about the process of dealing with money there is it's one of those countries where people send a lot of remittances back home. Maybe they've gone to university or gotten a job in Europe or the United States and they're sending money back home. So I learned about this app called SendWave, which allows you to transfer currency from say US dollars into the currency that they use there, which is the West African franc, the CFA. And then when you transfer on that app, you have a different app called Wave, which you use to pay for things, you know, everywhere. It could be anything from the taxi driver to a restaurant, and even local vendors on the street, because a lot of people are unbanked there. You know, they'll just hold up their QR code and you can just, you know, scan it with your Wave. And so much so that I literally did not go to a bank or an ATM traveling through Latin America. I thought, oh, they're going to have something like that. And turns out, no, completely different financial context. And the countries that I was in, you know, cash is king. I mean, if you're like in a big hotel or a big restaurant, of course you can use your ATM cards. But a lot of people, you know, use cash for everything. And so this might be one of the things that I've found very helpful if I know before I leave the United States, say I'm going to 4 different countries. Maybe I'm going to Indonesia, Thailand, Malaysia, and Vietnam. I will go and get just a small amount of those 4 currencies and just have them so that when I step off and I deal with a card. And speaking of cards, you had an interesting experience with your card when you got here. This is sort of why we started talking about money.
Absolutely. We went out one day, and when I got back to my apartment, I realized that I lost my Revolut card. So I texted her immediately to tell her that I lost it, and then I went on to my Revolut account to see if, you know, anybody had taken or anything, and I also wanted to stop the card.
And I didn't even know what Revolut was. You had to explain it to me. I'd never heard of a Revolut card.
Absolutely. So she brought up a couple of points, which was, number one, it may be difficult for you to get your card mailed here. Number two, I always leave my card at home and have access to cash. I'd rather lose $50 in a card that I can't get. I will not carry my Revolut card or any other bank card with me again because it was scary to not have access to money. And I had bank cards and credit cards, but they are attached to the U.S., so using those cards here would have incurred international fees. The Revolut card, which I had, is a card that doesn't incur international fees when you use the bank, and it incurs just a low fee when you do conversions. She has a brokerage account, and she doesn't have to pay those fees. Can you tell us about that?
So if you use a brokerage account like Fidelity or Charles Schwab or Vanguard, they usually have some sort of account that is very kind of checking account-like Fidelity calls theirs a cash management account. And the brokerage accounts, the cards that go along with those, the financial institution will reimburse you for any ATM fees that you are charged, and also reimburse any currency conversion fees. So you end up sort of banking free, and using ATMs free of any charge whatsoever. So very, very convenient.
Absolutely. Yeah. And there was a video of a woman that
So I wanted to shout out to Adelia Bourchardet. Her handle is Picky Girl Travels the World. About 4 years ago, she made a video called Money Moves to Make Before You Move Abroad, which I highly recommend. So shout out to Picky Girl. And that was really where I got the idea of, I had a brokerage account anyway, but I didn't have a bank card associated with it. But that was where I got the idea that I might want to use that for my travels.
Yes.
That Danny suggested. And so I have a travel phone. My travel phone actually does not support eSIM technology. You can get a phone that does. Mine doesn't. But it does support more than one SIM card, so I can have SIM cards from different phone numbers, different countries, posted in the same device at the same time. But my travel phone, I take it from country to country. I get a local SIM card that has, a phone number that's local to that country. And I actually keep the cards. And the reason I keep the cards is when I'm in that country again, I'll have the same phone number again. That's also come in handy because I have lost phones abroad. And so I lost my phone in Senegal once, but since the SIM card that I had was associated with my passport, when I lost the device, they were able to just turn that card off and give me a new card, so I didn't lose my phone number. My phone number retained.
Yes. And for Carla's experience was finding out things before she actually left. For me, I'm kind of fly by the seat of my pants, and I learn as I go. So I remember watching the video before I left the U.S. about getting the brokerage account. But since I've been at the same bank since the 90s, it didn't stick to me to say, move on that. Now I'm going to. Because although Revolut works well for travel, I don't believe that it works well if you're like us, living abroad full time, because every time I convert, even though it's cents, when I do convert, it adds up. Also, Revolut is only tied to certain bank machines, and unfortunately, Thailand doesn't have that bank machine, so I do not get reimbursed for the money that I pull from the bank machine. It's still less than what I would pay using my bank card So Revolut and Wise is probably good if you don't plan on staying out of the country, but you may travel a lot, so that you don't incur international fees. But if you're trying to live outside of the country, you definitely should think about getting a brokerage account so that you can keep the fees down, and be reimbursed every time you have a fee for using the bank or converting your money. And like Carla said earlier, it's a great idea to maybe get the currency of the country that you're going to, even if it's like you said, what, $150, $100?
Not even $150, maybe $100, just so when you get off the plane, you can at least function. Because sometimes, your flight arrives at a time of day where maybe, everything is closed in the airport and you still have to get a taxi to where you're going. And I also a shout out to Currency Exchange International, because some people don't live in big cities where they have international banks and they just have all the currencies. But CXI, or Currency Exchange International, will actually mail the currency to your house. You go online, you tell them how much you want, how much currency and what countries, and you pay for it with your bank card, and they mail it to you, and you've got it before you get on the plane.
Good to know. So I'm, again, learning as I go along. But
I don't want to have happen to me when I'm out in these international streets. I don't want to not have access to money, and I don't want to not have access to telecommunications. Like, I don't want to be out in the street and it's like, oh, I don't have Wi-Fi, I can't talk.
I got you.
You know, another thing I thought about is, different financial institutions are good for different things. And so when we're in the United States, we've always been taught that credit unions are really, really great, and they are in the United States. Out to dinner with someone once, and they were like, oh, I'm a little cash low right now. Can I borrow some cash from you for dinner, and then, I can pay you back, when we go up the street. And I was thinking that she was going to pull some money out of the bank. But what she really wanted to do was she wanted to take my cash and Venmo me. And she was explaining that since she had really, really high ATM fees, she tries not to take out, money frequently. And I was like, well, what kind of ATM fees are you incurring? And she told me, I was like, I have never heard of anything like that in my life. Where do you bank? And so she said that, she banked at the credit union. And as I said, credit union, when you're traveling abroad, that is not the bank card that you want to be dealing with.
Thanks for letting us know, because that's a thing that I didn't think about either. I don't have a credit union, but understanding what type of account you have and how it works for you once you move through the world is definitely something that you should think about and be knowledgeable about. So thank you for that information, Carla. And I think the other thing to really think about is your phone service. I have AT&T, and because I have AT&T, they do lock your phone. I don't know if that's, I think T-Mobile, they may not. And they will lock your phone until the phone is paid for, so that you can't use a digital SIM or eSIM somewhere. And then I'm getting charged $12 a day if I decide to turn on my phone to use Wi-Fi outside of a business like this or my apartment that has Wi-Fi. So all of that is very important when you think about keeping your costs down or eliminating. Also think about what country you're in and seeing if just buying a local phone is cheaper than paying what that plan is. So again, thinking about how to utilize your money outside of the country, and also the country that you're going to and what that looks like, and how the country utilizes their money. Meaning, like here in Thailand, a lot of places do not accept Visa or debit card payments. A lot of places also do not accept tap to pay. So we are having to go and withdraw their currency to, buy or purchase things here.
Which makes sense. When you're in the country, you should be able to pay with the local currency. Keep small denominations, because you go to the ATM and they will give you large denominations of money, or if you use a service like I did before you leave the country, they will give you large denominations, and it's like, it's like you're trying to go buy a popsicle with a $100 bill. People look at you like you're crazy. So you want to make sure that, you're keeping your small denominations with you.
Absolutely. And like Carla told me, I'd rather lose $50 than lose my bank card. So from here on out, I will leave my bank card in my apartment, and I will only have cash with me, like the local cash with me. And something else that you said. Oh, the phone too. Keeping your phone in your apartment. Because if you lose, again, a Thai phone or, the local phone, you're not losing access to whatever your phone is attached to, like your bank. For me, it's my bank and my business. And also, I don't know people. And then
I was just about to say, too, we're used to phone service being really expensive in the United States, but buying a local SIM card when you go to another country, I've gotten SIM cards with unlimited data for like $10.
Yeah.
And I think probably the most expensive one I've ever had is like $60 for the month. So it's, it's not going to break the bank. It's very affordable to have cell service in another country.
Absolutely. So I hope that you learned something. I'm going to say goodbye. Thank you, Carla.
Thanks for having me.
And good luck.
Thanks so
you
much.
are leaving Thailand tomorrow.
I am. I have to circle back to the U.S. before I start traveling again.
Okay. I wish you good luck.
Brief pit stop, but I'll be out on the road again.
Oh, and also remember, some of these things you may have to get before you leave the country, like the brokerage account. So keep that in mind. And I'm not saying all brokerage accounts you may not be able to use if you're, or open if you're outside of the country. But that's something too that you should think about, whether or not you can do this thing before you leave your country of origin, or if you're out. Like for me, I have to figure out if I can open a brokerage account now that I'm here. Hey y'all, Destinations Danny here. I just wanted to add to check and see if you can add a brokerage account or open a brokerage account before you leave the country of origin you live, because sometimes you may not be able to do that once you leave the country. Secondly, make sure that your phone is unlocked. Usually, if your phone isn't paid for, you can't add a digital SIM or an actual SIM that you can get from 7-Eleven or somewhere else around the world if you're trying to use the local Wi-Fi. That's what I was saying in the video earlier, but I think I edited it out. My phone isn't paid for, so therefore I can't use two SIMs or a digital SIM on my phone. This is the reason why I'm getting a Thai phone and a Thai phone number. And also check with Revolut or Wise or any other bank cards that you can get from wherever you live to see if you can travel in certain countries with those. When I stopped in Doha on the way here, I could not use my Revolut card. Therefore, I had to use my bank card from my bank at home in the States to buy a Coke. I'm sure that Coke cost me about $5. All right, y'all, Destinations Danny here. I'm out.